Hello everyone! It is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from inside of Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to help you wind down your weekend with all of this week's new small press and indie comics and, all of last week's too. As always, I'm your host Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to get you really excited about a bunch of books that you're definitely going to want to check out at your local comic shop. But before we do that, first of all, Happy New Year! And second of all, we're going to wind down our weekend. We're going to need a wine. So this week we are drinking Chateau Michelle, which is actually a Malbec. And usually, no, it's not. It's a Merlot. Usually, Matt told me it was a Malbec originally, and we both just discovered it was a Merlot. So we're going to figure out what we got going on here. And that's actually what I was gonna say, is usually we don't drink Merlots as much, because they're usually a little more sweet, which isn't our jam. But this one does say it has a lot of the flavors that we usually look for, like some of the darker cherry flavors and the vanillas and even like some of the nutty flavors. So we'll see, how it actually goes. It's supposed to pair really well with like lamb, which I'm never going to eat. So we're going to see what it goes with, how well it pairs with comics, because that's what, really matters in this world. So I'm going to take a drink and see what happens. Also, now I'm holding up my glass, you can see these amazing new glasses that we just got from, let's just say Bad City. It's Mom and Dad, the Sweeneys. These are amazing. Thank you so much to Stacey, Jimmy, and of course Alex for these awesome wind down your weekend glasses. There's also a Bat City set, which is really cool. These are like etched glasses they got us for Christmas, and we're really excited to be able to have specialty glasses. So thank you to our awesome pals, the Sweeneys, and cheers. I actually really did expect that to be sweeter than that first taste really was. There is a lot of flavor in it. Yeah. It's really smoky and like on the first like kick. And if you told me it was a Malbec and I didn't see the label, I might actually believe you. It's almost maybe closer even to a Pinot Noir though. But it does have that. It's got all those flavors, and so they're really kicking in. And honestly, it says that it's light on like sugar and things like that on the bottle. So yeah, you can definitely taste all those different flavors, and it's actually surprisingly good. I didn't know if I was going to like it, and I got a little nervous when I saw that it was a Merlot. It does have a little bit of a different linger on the aftertaste than the wines we usually grab, but we're honestly running out of the wines here in town that we haven't tried on the live stream, so it's cool that we got a surprise out of this one, and that it is actually a little smokier and a little nuttier than I expected it to be, which is giving us a good flavor. Even like mocha and spice is listed as flavors in it. I didn't even notice that, but the fact that it's like a spicy Merlot, that's a great choice. Like if you're gonna have a Merlot, spice it up, because that's what makes wines favorable to me, is the spiciness. So I'm glad that this one had that in there, and I'm glad I missed that it said spices, so that it was like a surprise that it tasted more like what I like. I'm going to slide this over so that we can talk about what's going on at Bat City and all of the cool comics that came in this week and last week. We didn't have a show last week because we were actually working on getting the store kind of like re-prepped for the year. We have tons and tons of backstock on the floor. If you've been to Bad City, we have about 500,000 comics on the floor between new and backstock dating all the way back to like the Bronze and Silver Age. And we were like, you know what, it's getting low and some of this has been here for a while. Let's try like a refresh. And so we took everything out of our back room, which is probably more comics than what's on the floor at the end of the day, and like sorted through all of it and brought out tons and tons and tons of new stuff. There's like Spider-Man and Batman dollar issues in both like the dollar bins and like their like spots in the alphabet. There's like these tons more incredible like Silver Age and some 10-cent detectives and action comics, which is really cool. There's some like sports comics that we got in from that same time period. There's just found like craziest things. I'm like trying to remember everything we found, and I'm like, there's so much.
There's a run of Bronze Age Blue Beetle,
right,
and Demon, complete runs. The Spectre,
right, so much.
Martian Manhunter,
tons of Transformers and GI Joe from both like Marvel, IDW, and the one in between there.
Dreamwave.
Yes, Dreamwave. So there's so many like Transformer and GI Joe comics that are hitting the floor, and like so much has come out. Like we've already put out dozens of like short and long boxes over the last few days, like once you did that, and there's still so much more to go. So over the next couple of weeks, definitely keep checking for new backstock. If you didn't know, we do that every day. Like we add new backstock every day, not in that kind of level of capacity, but there's definitely a lot of new stuff that hits the floor on a regular basis, just because it's like, hey, why not? Let's put new stuff out and see. So if you've ever think like, I've made it to the end of the bins, know that you immediately have to start right back over again because they're just going to keep getting full. And that includes like, current like modern backstock too. So there's always stuff going in. This week coming up at Bat City, like we do have the first of our like kickoff of events for this the new year. We've got creator working hours, and this is something that a lot of our creator friends have been asking us for. A place that they can go where they can work on their projects. Somewhere kind of like a coffee shop vibe where you can sit and chill and work. But if you feel like you need some inspiration, you have like the books right there at your hands to kind of walk around, and like maybe other creatives who work on the same kind of projects as you will be there. And so you'll have somebody who you can do art sprints or writing sprints, or even just have conversations about where you're stuck in your process and things that you might need help on. So this Wednesday at 6:30, there is from 6:30 to 8, there's some creator working hours. It's all self-guided. You come, you don't have to talk to anybody, but if you want to, you can. And then this Saturday at noon is this Saturday at noon is Story Spelunkers. Oh, and book club is this week. This is a huge week. This Thursday is our $1 book club. Our Fresh Start book start is book club's always on a Thursday.
Book club's on Thursday and creators on Thursday too?
No, creators on Wednesday.
Oh, I thought you'd said Thursday.
No, creators on Wednesdays and book club's on Thursday. And book club this month we are reading Department of Truth #1, which is a really exciting story and a great time to be reading it. I cannot wait to hear everybody's discussions. And then of course Story Spelunkers book club for kids is this Saturday. So everybody gets a book club this week. It's going to be a lot of fun. The January calendar will be up on our social media this week, but all of the events are actually already on our Facebook. So if you're on our Facebook, you can actually go to our events page and check out everything individually. We usually drop in when the next month event will be immediately following when this month's is. So always an easy way to check it out. I thank you again for everybody who came out this week for our New Year sale. We had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. And thanks for letting us be close to bring out all new product and get it exciting and ready for you. And speaking of new product, we're going to talk about new comics right now. So we are going to kick it off with issue 71 of Saga from Image Comics. We've still got quite a ways to go in this epic adventure. At 55, he said he was halfway done. So Brian came on our writing and Fiona Staples on our art, the same team the entire time, making us a wild epic adventure of this one family's life. If you've never read Saga, there's massive compendiums and trades that you can jump in, but it is the story of a young girl whose parents are actually two people who are living who are from two warring countries, essentially. One is from one of the planets, one is from the moon of that planet, and they have been at war for a very long time. They fall in love in a very Romeo and Juliet kind of situation, and the star-crossed lovers end up getting pregnant and having a kid who is now living as a completely hybrid of the two, which everybody is kind of chasing after, everybody from both worlds, because they don't want anybody to know that this can happen and that this situation can exist and that these people can live peacefully. Well, guess what? They kind of don't ever live peacefully. They're always in hiding. Everybody's tumultuous lives are uprooted all the time. And now they've got multiple different people who are aware of who they are, who are actually working to possibly turn them in to different people. And so the tension is mounting once again in Saga. It seems like every time they get to a place where they might be able to live like a happy, normal life, everything goes bad. We're going to see just how bad it can get as the next couple issues come out. House of Slaughter, issue 28 from Boom Studios. This is moving us towards the end of House of Slaughter, as it's all going to kind of come back into the Something is Killing the Children universe in some way. If you've been reading this one comes back to the world from Sam Johns within the House of Slaughter situation, which is actually telling us what it's like to be the different members of the different mask houses, or mask people inside of the House of Slaughter. So, like, what are the different jobs? What does a red mask do? And what does a white mask do? What a black mask does? What a blue mask does? As, you know, we've kind of seen hints of in Something is Killing the Children, in this world of people who are supposed to stop monsters from attacking children. Like, how does the actual, like, procedure of governing this body work? And in this volume, we have been following a blue mask who is investigating some very weird occurrences that have been happening. People disappearing from different houses, people showing up again in the houses, but maybe as monsters. And like maybe there's some big shady stuff going on within the corporate division essentially of this secret society and this order. And we've got a team up going on now between all of the characters that have been on the Sam John side of House of Slaughter as they try to piece everything together that has been working through all of these different stories. And we're going to see, like I said, how that comes together and how that impacts Something is Killing the Children very soon, because I believe it's only going till issue 30 or somewhere in that general area. Void Rivals, issue 15 from Image, Skybound, and Your Inner John universe, the world of Transformers and G.I. Joe. And this is your cornerstone book of that, and it is written by Robert Kirkman. And it kind of always feels like, at the very beginning, this kind of felt like it's not necessarily really going to have too much connection to it. But now we're actually seeing that this really is a huge part of what we're seeing happen in the world, because we know that the Transformers have always been in a battle with themselves over the Inner John and all of the resources of Cybertron. And they've been on this war has spilled over, of course, into our world, which is how they end up in this battle that the G.I. Joe people are now a part of as well. But here in Void Rivals, we're actually learning that Inner John comes from like other places. It's not just on Cybertron, and we're starting to see people who have basically the ability to farm it, and the Transformers kind of coming here and hoping that like maybe they can set up an alliance with these people. Meanwhile, these people are in their own war, and their war has caused a lot of major problems for people, and we're starting to kind of finally see why some of the way that has been set up is and where things are going. But we're getting a lot of connections, including finally having a lot more Transformers in this issue, or in this series, which does include a Hot Rod showing up in this most recent part of the show. So if you're a Transformers fan and you're reading Transformers and you're reading G.I. Joe and this, like, for all that Inner John universe, and you're not getting Void Rivals, you definitely need to. There is something in my eye, everybody. Sorry, I like literally cannot see the next book. Okay. We'll see how that plays out as the show goes on. We've got Thundercats issue 11 from Dynamite, and this is building out a big universe at the Dynamite World. You know, we've seen the Thundercats main title, but we've also seen Chitara get her own series, miniseries come out. We've also seen Apex, which has shown us kind of a futuristic look at these people on this third Earth. But basically, the Thundercats have their home of Thundara has been destroyed, and they've moved to third Earth, and they're trying to rebuild here. Lion-O, who was a young kid, suddenly sees himself aged up And he's really struggling with the fact that he feels like everybody still sees him as a kid and everybody has their own reasons for why they're trying to protect him, but it just kind of leaves them all not talking to him about what's going on. And he's like, I'm the ruler of the people, and yet the people won't talk to me. Like, how am I supposed to rule my team? And so as a, child inside of an adult body would suddenly do, Lion-O gets really mad at everybody and takes off and decides he's going to be the one who saves the day from whatever this evil mummy type creature, as we know as Mum-Ra, is bringing to him and his people. And so he leaves everybody behind, doesn't tell anybody where he's going, and goes to fight this battle on his own, because that is what a responsible leader does, apparently, according to teenage Lion-O. It's a terrible choice. Bad things happen. Where is it going to put him? You're going to have to figure it out as you keep reading. There are more Thundercat stories to come, not only in this main title, but we are going to see like some other additional connecting pieces. We are also seeing things like the Silverhawks join into that Thundercats universe, so we'll probably see some crossovers and some things to come as that goes on. Speaking of things that are eventually going to cross over, we're starting to see some major hints of that in Geiger issue 9, and this is also from Image, but it is from our Ghost Machine universe. And Geiger had launched in 2020 and has come back as a part of this Ghost Machine world. And so we're at the point where our glowing man is still trying to figure out how he can become less radioactive in this post-apocalyptic world, because being radioactive caused his family to die, and he doesn't want to be that person who keeps hurting people, even if it does kind of give him the ability to save others. And so he and his knight friend have recently gone into a town where some kids have asked, please help us leave the village. We want to go. We want to get out there and actually see the world and have a chance to survive. And we don't feel like that's what we're getting in this town. Well, turns out Mr. Geiger and friends were followed, and now people are threatening the kids and the village, and Geiger has to kind of unleash the monster within himself if he's going to be able to save everybody, but it's that very monster that he wants to get rid of. And so he's got kind of that Jekyll Hyde situation going on where he really has to decide, is it worth it to him to be the monster if it does save the man and everybody else around him. And we get to see this great partnership that's really kind of formed between him and his knight friend. And we get, like I said, some teasers for a potential crossover from what they call the Unnamed Universe. And I'm going to actually flip back to that really fast, which is kind of all of, the Jeff Johns stories going on here in this Ghost Machine universe. And so we're seeing all these timelines of when they all happen, and we're starting to see that timeline disruption might be coming a little bit sooner rather than later. And I'm very excited to see how that might in fact happen, because it's going to be cool. And we're going to figure that out as we go even further in the story with Redcoat issue 8, which is also Image, Ghost Machine, and our Unnamed Universe. I say this all the time to people. Redcoat was the book in the Ghost Machine world that really surprised me. I didn't expect to like it as much as I do. And because I was like, oh, it's going to be another one of those, the crass, reluctant hero who, is drunken and disorderly all the time and but has a heart of gold. And I was like, I don't know, it's not going to be for me. And you know what? It actually is. And I really do enjoy it more than I thought I would. But we are following Simon Pure, who is anything but, as he always says. And he, back in the times of his initial life, he accidentally discovers the Founding Fathers of America doing some rituals, trying to get immortal life. And he ends up stumbling into it drunkenly and becoming the immortal person that that gets chosen on accident. And now he is stuck living this immortal life, whether he wants to or not. In this issue, it's almost kind of a little one shot to get us between the arcs, because we did just have the big main arc of the last 7 issues come to an end with his adventures with young Einstein. But now on this issue, he's like, oh, I just came out to the West to help my friend. you know, insert mythological character, but I don't want to ruin the jokes for you, so I'm not going to tell you which one. But he's like, oh, so I'm out here and this has been fun. And he comes across a house, and this family in this house is like, oh yeah, we'll totally take you in. It's great. Like, come in. Well, it turns out that they're like a serial killer family, and they've been, which you find out on the first 2 pages, but Simon doesn't know. And so they try to kill Simon, but as we know, he's immortal, so it's just a matter of time before he comes back and gets his comeuppance. And you start to see a little bit more of Simon having to like come to terms with the fact that he's like, I am not a good person. I don't do things for the right reason. I just do them because I'm angry about like my own life. But then you see all of the like you're trying to convince yourself of something that you're really not, Simon, and it's going to come into play in a very big way. And Simon's immortality is going to continue to be a big issue for all of the unnamed universe, for sure. Lilo and Stitch, issue 8 from Disney's cartoon imprint at Dynamite. I love this series so much because it's just so cute. And in this arc of it, we have seen, because of all of her success training Stitch, the Intergalactic Federation has decided that Lilo should maintain all like unruly monsters and teach them how to be better behaved. And she is given a whole bunch of monster kids to kind of try to teach and take in, and she's trying to train them, and she realizes in this issue that the thing that's making them upset is that their parents have actually been put into a zoo, essentially, by the Galactic Federation, and they miss their parents, and they want to find them. And, of course, Lilo can never stand for injustices, so she goes out into space to try to figure out a way to stop it. And she's told that as somebody who's in charge of taking care of animals for the Galactic Federation, she is considered an ambassador to them. So if she does anything against this zoo, it can be considered an act of war. And so Lilo is forced to think of ways that she can act without actually making the wrong move on her own, which is totally a lot of pressure for an 8-year-old girl to have to deal with. But Lilo manages it every time. And it's always such a positive experience to see Lilo figuring, like, in any Lilo story, to see Lilo figure out, like, how to migrate the world of adults with heart and truth and justice is always just a beautiful thing. And, of course, with family, as she always does. It's so warm, heartwarming, and beautiful, and you should just read Lilo and Stitch. Uncanny Valley, issue 7 from Boom Studios and our friend Tony Fleece. This is such a great book. If you are a fan of things like Roger Rabbit or any of those where, like, the person goes into the fantasy world, you definitely want to check this one out because it's so good. It is the story of a young boy who, in issue 1, finds himself being followed by cartoon crows who are trying to come after him. And he learns very quickly that his grandfather is Pecos Pete, and or essentially Yosemite Sam, and he is from the cartoon world, and he gets taken back there because the one true like cartoon, the original, is trying to like come after him, and his grandpa initially thinks it's for good. We learn, of course, very quickly that it is not. And in this issue, he has been brought to his grandfather's farm without his grandfather there. His grandfather's been thrown into our human world with his daughter, and they are trying to figure out how to get back to the son before it's too late, before he is erased in his own way. And meanwhile, the son is on this farm, and he has just learned why it is that everybody is trying so hard to get him into this world and to figure out what it is that he needs to do to possibly save it and everybody connected to it. It's been so great. Tony and Dave Watcher have done such a good job of blending the two art styles and like giving you the like classic cartoony figures, but they also have made some really great twists and turns that just keep the story going at all times. You guys got to check it out for sure. Lawful, issue 6, also from Boom Studios, and another book that really surprised me when it first came out, and I now can't wait to read it whenever it comes in because it's become one of my titles that I just absolutely enjoy. If you have not read it yet, this is the story of a place in the world where basically every time you do something that is considered against the law, you get some kind of monstrous mutation on your skin, and the more monstrous you become, the less in society you're allowed to be until they eventually throw you over the wall. and leave you on your own. Well, this is specifically following the son of like one of the enforcers, essentially, and he has always like had this expectation to live up to, especially since his dad did die. And so he's basically given his father's like training to have like a position like his father, and he discovers that the government is corrupt, which is, you know, super surprising to him, because he always thought like they appear clean and that they don't have any monstrous problems, but it turns out that they have a secret way of keeping themselves from looking monstrous, even if they are actually committing the most crimes. And initially he's like, I'm not going to do anything about it, I'm not going to say anything, but in the last issue or so, he's really figured out that like you have to stand up against that, even if they paint you out to be a monster, you have to stand up against the corrupt powers that lead the way. And in this issue, he really starts to figure out how to take a stand and what side he wants to be on, and what, that maybe having the comforts and amenities that they give you for being in their system isn't as good as just being a good person and exposing the evils that they're doing. It's so great. I love it. Greg Pak is doing such a good job with this story. And it's funny because he's also writing Lilo and Stitch, and that's kind of the same thing that Lilo and Stitch has been going through. So I like where you're going recently, Greg. This is doing great. Hello Darkness, issue 6, also from Boom Studios. It's a big Boom week because we actually got like 2 weeks worth of Diamond in. So if you haven't read Hello Darkness, this is Boom's horror anthology. Everybody's got one right now. And it's got all kinds of stories in it. The first one is a Steve Orlando story, and it's about a Christmas log, which is this thing that like you're supposed to feed the Christmas log, and it gives you your presents. And a man comes home for the first time like in his adult life in years, and his mom's like, don't forget to feed the Christmas log. And the things he does to feed this log, I don't know that his mom would be as proud of him as he thinks she would. But of course it's dark and horrific, and gives you all kinds of warm, not fuzzy Christmas feelings. And then we've got a second story, which is from Justine Ireland, and it is about some people who are who are slavers, and they have a group of enslaved who are trying to get free, and they're like, we don't want to work for you anymore because your minds, there's monsters in there. And they're like, no, this is just the excuse that y'all have been using as a reason to try to like break free. And they're like, no, we promise you there's monsters in there. And one of the enslaved men goes to show them the monsters, and you know what? Things happen, and things should happen in the way that they do, and it's such a cool like horror twist, and like very creep show, easy horror, you get yours kind of thing. And then we get one that is a beautiful story about a girl who has this tragic backstory and this like longing to be somewhere else, and she's brought to a town where they say she's got to marry this person. And this kid is like, this is the first time I've ever met a banshee before. And we kind of just see this like beautiful story of an Irish banshee and her desire to be away from the forced life that she is being made to live. And it's just really pretty. Like I like it almost looks like a painted movie, or something. It's so beautifully done and so tragically amazing. And then we do get a one-page hack story, but I never like to show you those because it ruins the whole thing. But then we do continue our story from Garth Ennis and Becky Cloonan, which shows that's called The War, which is all about a group of friends who are at a party, and they keep talking about like this war that's happening overseas and how it will never come there to them. But now we are left with just the two main characters, a husband and wife, who the wife is pregnant, who kind of are in a place where they think they're safe, but there's no safeness, there's no nothing. And the hatred and the fear that is brewing between them is definitely probably the most dangerous thing in the entire book. So check it out. That one's cool because you do get that story ongoing in every single issue, so it's kind of fun to have, like, I'm going to get a little bit more of that. And yeah, I also get all these other stories too. We've got issue 6 of The Sickness finally from Uncivilized Books. if you haven't read this yet, just be prepared for a very heavy book that you're going to have to go back, read through a lot, and get some crazy intense art. But this follows a couple different people. One is, it's 1945, and there's a kid named Daniel who starts having these hallucinations and visions that seem to be like exasperated by the fact that he's like really afraid of the war and his family and things like that. And he's having all of these problems. And in this issue, actually, he is being, I guess, like, examined by a judge because he set fire to his room, or so they think he did, and they're trying to, like, figure out if it's because his mom is a terrible mom, not because his dad is a terrible dad, but because his mom's a terrible mom, or if he's just, like, a troubled kid who they need to get rid of in some way. And then at the same time, we see a man in 1955 who is a doctor who is trying to figure out what this illness that causes these people to have these like hallucinations and this kind of spontaneous combustion almost have the problems that they do. And he's been really working hard on solving it. He does have somebody that he's kind of investigating like and experimenting on in his time period, but we do kind of see like the way these two stories marry each other and just this darkness that kind of seeps through everything. It's very chilling as you read it, and yet you're still constantly trying to piece it all together. Like, we don't really know too much about where it comes from or anything yet, but we're gonna see, like, maybe by the end we'll know a little bit more. Robot Plus Girl, issue 5 is in from Keen Spot. If you know Bad City, you know that we love this book. It is adorable. We are actually quoted in issue 4 of the book on how much we love it, because we really do. This is from our friend of the store and show, Mike White, and it is the story of a robot who is past his prime. You know, he's a model that they won't use anymore. And so in the first issue, he's trying to take himself out to just, you know, be shopped for parts and things. And he meets a young girl who ends up saving him. And they kind of become best friends, and he moves in to live with her. And he's trying to help her get on her feet, but he accidentally cheats without knowing he's cheating at a game that she plays that is how she raises her funds and money. And now she is in a world of trouble because if she can't undo what he did and raise the funds and prove that she didn't cheat essentially, so that they don't come after her and throw her in jail, she's gonna have to she's gonna go to jail. And so she has to learn how to play the game at the level that he has her at very quickly so that she can go into this experience. Well, in this issue, she is practicing and practicing and practicing to get really good, and she ends up passing out, and so to be helpful, he decides he's going to go out to get her food. But while he's out getting her food, some goons come after him, and we're going to see where that leads our little robot as this goes along. But it's just so heartwarming to see these two like friends grow their relationship, and it's just so happy. And Mike said he has tons of this story to go, so I'm very excited to see where it goes because it's so good, and I could just read it forever. We've got Sir, number 5 from Boombox, which is the teen imprint of Boom. And this is the wrap up of Sir for now. Maybe we'll get another volume, but this is the end of this one. And if you haven't read Sir yet, it's very similar to a lot of like the Fence and I Heart Skull Crusher kind of stories that Boombox has been putting out. But it is about a person who their partner goes to this like mysterious academy, and they kind of stop answering them, and they get nervous, so they enroll themselves in the academy after their parents pass, and find out that there is a secret underground knight society, but they ride like motorcycles instead of horses in this jousting, and that their partner has been really into it and like has become like the all-star of it, but because she's poor, they don't think that she should be good at it because only rich people have historically done this and been good. And so they're mad and they try to destroy her. Well, now our main character is here, and they are determined to, avenge their partner and everything that's gone wrong. And so over the last couple of issues, they've kind of come into this competition. And in the last issue, they sent a challenge out to the entire, like, executive team, essentially, of the SUR, the Underground Society. And we're like, look, if I beat you, you give Nico back all of their funds and their reputation, and you kick rocks, you know, and move on. And so this is the ultimate battle to see how it plays out. I'm not going to show you too much of that because it is the wrap-up of it, but this is the wrap-up to see, do they win the battle? Are they able to get their funds, save themselves, get out, destroy the Sir, all the things they're trying to do. You got to read to find out. It's only 5 issues, so get to reading. We've got Flash Gordon issue 5 from Mad Cave. If you are a fan of the Flash Gordon world and all of those kinds of guys like that, like Flash Gordon, the Phantom, oh my gosh, there's so many other people in the Defenders of the Earth that I can't remember right now. Mandrake, the Magnificent, all those people. That whole universe is back at Mad Cave. And it was, the catalyst for starting it all was Flash Gordon. And it kicked off with Flash already, in prison with, on a world, he's already destroyed, Ming's world. He's already, done all these things. And now he's in this prison. And as far as he knows, something has happened to the love of his life. And he needs to get out of this prison and get home and get back on, track. And the only person that he can team up with is, of course, the greatest villain in his world, Ming. And so him and Ming have been trying to figure out what exactly is going on and how they can get back to where it is. And of course he doesn't trust Ming at all. And Ming is definitely trying to stab him in the back. But they have gone into this lair to try to get some people who will follow them and support them. But Ming has found out that all of his supporters have kind of turned their back on him. And in the process, this will be completely dangerous to Flash and Ming. And will they get out? Will they work together? Can they figure out what is actually going on in this world? That's the question of the day, because I don't really think you can ever trust me. We've got The Land Left Behind, issues 4 and 5 from Blood Moon Comics. I'm going to show you 5, because if I show you 4, then you're missing out on the fact that we're up to 5. So I'm going to show you 5 and catch you up. So now I got to look. Okay. This is basically the story of a group of knights who are going out and looking, to find a new spot. They're just, doing adventuring, excavation and things. And they've got, the Duke that's interested in all of the excavation and his scholars and things. And as they're going through this pass one day, they end up suddenly in the prehistoric era. And they have no idea, because this isn't a time where they have studied all of this. They don't know anything about dinosaurs and stuff. And so they're suddenly kind of reliant on their scholar to kind of give them some information, but they're also kind of trying to figure out how to survive, especially because an Allosaurus is chasing them. And they're trying to figure out why this Allosaurus is after them, and they can't get to water because all of the water is being blocked by this Allosaurus. And so they have to figure out exactly how does one fight a dinosaur when you don't know what a dinosaur is. And so it's kind of like Camp Cretaceous in the, if you were knights sent back to the actual prehistoric time instead of bringing dinosaurs to our time, which has been really fun. And there's a love story that works its way through this as well. And so a lot of adventure happening in that story for sure. Speaking of knights, we've got Knights vs. Samurai issue 4 from Image Comics. And if Land Left Behind has knights fighting dinosaurs, guess what? We now have knights and samurai fighting dragons in this book. This is all about a guy who is known as the Dragon Slayer in his community, and he's sent off to go try to rescue some people for the kingdom. The king's oh, I have missionaries that have gone missing. I need you to go find them. And so he goes out to do just that, and they go to a world that's filled with samurai. And when they get there, there's a lot of conflict immediately, because it's who are you and why are you in your zone? Well, they can't figure any of that out. They don't have any time for the fighting there, or any of the stuff they're dealing with, because immediately they are swarmed by a dragon who is attempting to kill this village. And as these two cannot communicate, these two groups cannot communicate with each other, they're struggling really hard to see who's on whose side, and how do we fight this dragon, and how do we share information about what we each know about this dragon. And so there's lots of death and destruction and some miscommunications as they try to figure it out. This is actually written by David Dashmalian, who is the Polka Dot Man in the Suicide Squad world. And so, which is really cool. And also, these books are only $2.99. So if you're looking for a fun adventure story that has a little bit of all of that, like action, knights, samurai, dragons, all this stuff, and a fun like action story, like action-packed story for $2.99, this is a great one to pick up. I'm going to take a drink of this wine really fast as I that's different. Like, it's got so many different flavors now than the first time. It's almost a little, like, the spice has almost settled down on the front of the drink now, and, like, moved into, like, the middle with, like, this fruitier flavor at the front. I don't know if you've taken a drink in a while. Yeah, you're, like, licking your lips. You're like, yes.
It's delicious.
It is. It's very good.
Chateau Michelle.
Chateau Michelle. All right, we've got The Resurgence of the Valiant Universe, issue 4 of 4. And this is from Alien Books, which is our new parent company of Valiant. And this is bringing all of your characters back together and kind of resetting the Valiant world so that you can jump in if you never have before. So each of the Valiant characters got a 2-issue miniseries that kind of showed where they are, who they are, where they are, what's going on. And they all kind of tie together to this series, which has been 4 issues, that kind of tells us, hey, there's some really bad stuff going on in this world. Basically, there's some sinkholes that have opened up, and they lead you to this faraway world where bad things are happening. People are getting lost forever. They're dying. And so all of our Valiant heroes are trying to work together to stop this. All of our Valiant villains are trying to work with a mysterious figure to make it happen. And in this one, we kind of see the whole thing come to a head as the heroes kind of have to come together completely now and square off face to face with so many of the Valiant Universe villains. This is not the end, even though it is part 4 of 4. It is going to lead us into what is actually called the Resurgence finale. So there will be one more issue that is the finale, or at least one more issue that's the finale. And then we'll actually just get series of the Valiant characters ongoing after that for the different ones, and we'll see how those roll out over the time. But if you've been like, what happened to Ninjak? What happened to Shadow Man? What happened to Exo Man of War? Like, where are these Valiant characters? They're here. Quantum and Woody are back. Faith is back. Eternal Warriors are back. They're all here, and they're all ready for you to find them. And yeah, I don't even think I said Bloodshot. Like, he's like right there, like in the center. And I was like, oh yeah, that guy. There's so many of them. You check it out. We've got Autumn Kingdom issue 4 from Oni Press. Autumn Kingdom is kind of a fantasy story of these 2 sisters, like blended in, like into our real world. Issue 1 starts out with a dad who is a writer, and he's writing the story of 2 sisters who are trying to, that have this like epic battle between themselves essentially and the world around them. And they go to a cabin in the woods so that the dad can work on his book and get it ready to go for publication, because it's the newest one in like his long line of works. And the girls wake up in the middle of the night, and the parents have been kidnapped, and they have been taken by mysterious creatures, fairies, orcs, something, goblins. They're not quite sure, but also they didn't know that any of these things were real. And so the girls have gone on this mission with this giant sword that they found, that basically, like, as long as they can carry the sword, they'll kind of have the ability to fight these evil creatures. And so they go into the Autumn Kingdom, and this is our first time to really learn what that means. What is the Autumn Kingdom? Where are they going? Why are they taking people? Why specifically, like, the mom and dad? And do the girls have a chance to save them? We always see a parallel between the dad's story and what the girls are going through. And so, I still think we're going to find out that the dad is somehow way more connected to the Autumn Kingdom than we even know. But I'm really, like, waiting to see what that connection may be, because the story is so closely similar to his daughters. And the fact that his daughters' names are Summer and Winter, and this is the Autumn Kingdom, there's definitely something here. But if you want to go on an epic adventure through a fantasy world, this is going to be a great one to start you into. Creep Show. This is issue 4 of volume 3. I cannot believe we've been back so long that we're that far in. And Image Skybound is bringing this to us, and it kind of kicked off the return of all of these horror anthologies. We get 2 stories in this one. The first one is called Flesh Wounds, and it is all about a guy who kind of makes a deal with a mystic who he tells, like, I don't want to die. I don't want anything to be able to hurt me. I'm a soldier. I want to be able to go to battle and, like, kill all these people and never actually have, like, death find me. And as always in these, wish fulfillment kind of situations, your word choice is very important. And so if you wish that you cannot die, it does not mean that you cannot get hurt. And he learns that very quickly and exactly what that looks like. And the choices are not the best for what comes to him. And then the second story is one called Face, and it is about a girl whose boyfriend breaks up with her and says he just can't stand to see her face anymore. And she's very upset about it, and so she learns that there is a new procedure where you can get a new face, and she decides she's going to get this new face and use it as a way to, like, get her boyfriend back and then kind of break his heart in the same way he did hers. But the thing is that this face doesn't take the place of the face you have. It becomes a second face. And she learns all of the craziness that comes with that. And again, that your choices have consequences, and be careful what you wish for kind of situation. So check it out. These are anthologies, so they never connect. You don't have to worry about it. You can always just jump in at whichever Creepshow issue sounds good to you. Violent Flowers issue 4 from Image Comics and Maria Lovett, and this is the wrap-up of this portion of Violet Flowers. Maria Lovett does have a letter at the back that's like, I love these characters so much, I never want it to end, I will be back to play with them more. And I can't wait, because this definitely did open up a giant universe of possibilities. It is the story of a vampiric society, and we find out that there is a vampire who's been awoken from their prison, essentially at the bottom of the ocean, where they have been forced to die over and over again with suffocation and of course, the pressure crushing them. And so they're really bitter about it, and they try to come after the society and the people that they think put them in this situation. And so they go after this arrow that is poisoned and is one of the only things that can, like, actually injure and hurt these vampires in that way. And so they are left to, like, now they have all this power and they're killing everybody. And our main character, who was used to be connected, best friends, family, like possibly more between them, has to be the one to go after her. And we kind of see how that plays out in this issue. We also see that, sometimes, like, the vampires can make better choices, because there is a human girl that thinks she wants to be a vampire, and as she's seeing what this is actually like, she kind of starts to realize, maybe I don't want to be a part of all of this world anymore. And so it's really great. I can't wait to see what else Maria does in this world. As she said, she's got a lot of other projects going on at the moment, but she will be back soon enough, and I can't wait. Spectrograph issue 4 from Distillery and James Tynion. This is kind of the end to Spectrograph. It's got a very, like, possibly open ending. We'll probably see a volume 2 of Spectrograph, if I had to guess. Or not. Honestly, like, this could just be, like, one of those perfect modern American ending kind of situations. Like, I honestly hope that he doesn't do anything with it and leaves the ending as it is. But this is about a woman who is a real estate agent, and she goes to show somebody a house, and it's a woman who's representing essentially a secret society who wants in this house because in it, the man who lived there for so long has built a machine that can basically create a ghost of you. And he has been working forever to, like, create ghosts, and they get trapped in this house. And we see this woman who's, like, gets trapped, this real estate agent get trapped in the house with that woman as she activates the machine to try to figure out where the ghosts are and whether or not it actually worked, and do the research that her society has sent her to do. This last issue kind of gives you everything. This is, like, who does she actually really work for? Why is he so invested in the machine? Like, why is he so invested in the house? what is it that he wants out of it. We see whether or not the machine really did work. We see whether or not the girls are going to be able to get out of the house. And what that would look like if they did. We do get kind of a little bit of everything. And then, like I say, we do get that like modern American ending of this could be the end, or it could only be the beginning. Depending on who you consider like the main character and who you consider, what you consider an outcome having to be to make a story, full. It gets really wild in this issue, like with all the stuff that James brings in to kind of bring it all together. But I like I said, I actually kind of like it. Usually, I'm always like, what's the ending going to be? Where is this going to go? Like, how are we going to connect it? Like, how do we connect the dots? And again, I kind of hope that he leaves those like loose strings hanging and doesn't touch it again, because it could actually work as a great ending if he leaves it that way. It could also make everybody but me mad, because they don't get a wrapped up ending. It's, it's up to you how you want it to go. All right, we've got Vampiro Rockabilly Apocalypse issue 3 from Massive Comics. That is one of the most ridiculous names for a book that is just a lot of fun. As it starts out, issue 1 started out with a guy who was an influencer who wanted to find this rock and roll guy and kind of prove that he was a vampire. Like, it's like, my podcast, we talk about this guy and how he's been around forever. Like, I've been doing this episode on it. Like, I've got to meet this guy. And meet him he does. And find out that he's a vampire he does. And now he is kind of stuck in the middle of this vampire's ultimate war with some other evil. And while that's kind of going on, there's this group of nuns who feel like it's their job to take out things that are sacrilegious, which includes the vampire. And so now these motorcycle riding nuns have come after him, and he is having to, they're all trying to fight their way through it. And we get a new character in this issue who is a man who also kind of has a YouTube show, but he just figures hey, I want to be the one that claims that this guy's a vampire and proves it. And so if that means I've got to protect this guy as one of my assets, I'm gonna get in that, and I'm gonna get a part of this thing. And so there's all kinds of bad choices going on here from everybody, but it's just a fun wild ride of vampire musician taking everybody out, and we're gonna see where that leads them. The Girl Called Cthulhu, Minky Woodcock book from Hard Case, which is, I love when Titan puts these adaptations of these Hard Case books out because they're so great. This is issue 3 as well, I believe. Yeah. I was like, that's what number I'm on. And I love it. So Minky Woodcock is my favorite of the Hard Case books that get brought to life in comic form. Because she is a detective. Her father was a detective. She is now working as a detective as well. And she always gets just wrapped up in these mystical, magical experiences. And so in this series, she has been investigating. She's trying to figure out some stuff that happened with her parents and what would have happened with their deaths and disappearances. And that kind of leads her to Aleister Crowley and his cults and his witchcraft and all of that. She ends up teaming up with H.P. Lovecraft to try to figure out some of the stuff behind what Aleister is doing in his, secret world. And she's kind of getting just drawn into this thing. Well, in this issue, a former friend calls her and is like, hey, my brother's gone missing. I don't know if he joined the war effort. I don't know if he was kidnapped. I don't know if he just ran away. Can you come to London and help figure out what's going on? And she's like, absolutely, I'm going anyway, because my dad, I have to clean out my dad's estate so that they can use it for a place for the military to have offices during the war. And so she's like, so I can look into it while I'm there. Well, as she's looking into it, she discovers that there is something afoul going on, and she kind of has to start piecing it together. If you just look, if you like Sherlock Holmes kind of detective stories, but you wish that Sherlock Holmes was a super saucy, sexy female instead, you're gonna love Minky Woodcock, because that's really all it is. It's murder mysteries, very Agatha Christie. She even makes a reference to that in this book, like where she's like she calls her like fake name that she gives to places is Miss Marple and stuff, and so. It's fun. It is not for children. There is lots of adult content that goes on in these books, but it's fun to see these hard case crime books come to life in comic format. And again, these are always my favorite. And the art is gorgeous. The colors are gorgeous. The story is fantastically fun. I'm always in for the Minky Woodcock books. Liquid Kill, issue 3 from Massive. This is volume 2, issue 3. You do have to read volume 1 because you will not have any clue what is going on if you don't. But basically, in volume 1, a hotel is attacked. Like a hotel on an island that's like a resort for very strange rich people has been attacked, and somebody is coming after all of these people. One of our characters has found their way into like the underneath of the hotel, and it turns out there is a lot more underneath than anybody thought. And now we're seeing this person who's come to kind of try to like rescue people from there, working their way through that underneath. And there is like people trapped in there. There is secret society stuff going on. There is a lot of death and destruction. We got to get you out of here or you're all going to die. And it's like, oh, like, and it's so funny because they're like, well, if you can just like take the elevator back up to the hotel and sneak off the island, you'll probably be fine. And I'm like, it's so weird that this is just like all under a hotel. But so we're kind of just on this adventure to see where this is going to lead us, and if we can in fact get out from this island and take down these bad people who are doing some spooky stuff. All right, we got some more Ghost Machine coming your way. This is part of the Family Odysseys world, and it's Hornsby and Halo issue 2, which is one of our Pete Tomasi books going on at Ghost Machine right now, and it is so adorably wonderful. I love it. It's great. It's a good, a truly good all ages book because kids and adults can really get into this, but. It is an age-old tale, essentially. The world, the evil and good cannot get along. Somebody is going to become the demise of all of it. An epic war is a-brewing, and so they send the children who are possibly the future destruction of all reality to be raised on Earth. In different houses. So the person who is an angel is sent to live with some of the worst people, very Matilda's parents-esque. And the girl who's supposed to be like this ultimate demon is sent to live with the nicest family. And we hope for the nature versus nurture of it all in experience. Like, can they be saved? And also, we're never going to tell them that they have these magical powers and that they're an angel and a demon. Well, their birthday has come. They're now 13. And those powers are starting to manifest, whether the kids realize it or not. And also, angels and demons are starting to look for them. And so, in this issue, a motorcycle gang comes to town that seems to be ransacking everything. And our young Hornsby is like, I'm going to stop them. And Halo, the angel, as he is like, I'm going to help you. And they decide they're going to like stop these motorcyclists from attacking the town in their own different ways. Well, it turns out these motorcyclists, there are more than meets the eye. And our war between the angels and demons is getting a lot closer to these poor kids who have no idea at all what is happening to them. I can't wait to see where this goes. It has been so great so far. And it's going to just stay like wholesome and wonderful and like also like just adult enough to like keep adult readers in because Pete Tomasi's doing it. And it's going to be great. We've got DuckTales issue 2, also a part of Disney Comics at Dynamite. If you are a fan of the show, you're going to be a fan of the story because it's very similar. You've got Uncle Scrooge, who is hanging out with his nephews, Huey, Zooey, and Louie, and they are learning about, Uncle Scrooge's involvement in the town and all of the things that he's always done, and they're kind of learning some lessons. And so Scrooge decides to take them out to the movie theater that he owns, and while they are there, Scrooge gets really scared, and they're like, Uncle Scrooge, were you afraid of the movie? He's like, no, I'm afraid I lost some money while I was watching it. I've got to figure out like what happened, and like, are, you know, the people that work for me, are they stealing from me? Like, what's going on? And so he actually gets to teach the kids a couple of lessons about time where he's had money stolen from, like, by evil people before, and why people are always trying to take his money. But he also has to teach them that, like, money and objects aren't actually the most important things, and like the way that the thing that's important is getting them through hard work. And the kids kind of start to learn to kind of also teach Uncle Scrooge that too. You know, he's always like, hard work and your hard-earned money is the important thing, and they're like, but it's really like not the most important thing. Like, what about people, Uncle Scrooge? And so, as usual in a DuckTales world, they kind of are all teaching each other very important lessons as the story progresses. And they are on their quest. They have a map. They're trying to figure out some things. We're going to see what those things are. Hell's Half Acre, issue 2 from Magma Comics. It is 1904 in Nashville, and we are at a place called Hell's Half Acre, and it's kind of one of those like Old West kind of towns where there's gambling and, you know, adult illicit activities, and I like that it's more debauchery than anybody could dream of. And in the first issue, the sheriff of the town or the marshal, I guess, sheriff, marshal, one of those, whatever he calls himself, comes to town, and we find out that he is, or comes into the brothel, I should say, and we find out that he has a relationship with the madam of the brothel and a young girl in there who may be part of his family. And while they're there, the brothel is set on fire, bad things happen, and he is now trying to chase down the man who did it. And as is the young woman, she is like, I'm going after him. He burned my home. He killed my family. Like, he put me in danger. He lied to me about who he was, this mysterious guy. Whoever he is danger, and I want to go after him too. And so these two are on a quest, and in this issue they end up on a train where they're like, what is, you know, we're after this guy. Well, there is more to this group of people on this train than meets the eye, and we are going to get some ghoulish, gory, terrible people chasing after them. And so we're going to figure out exactly like where this is going and what that's leading to as more is revealed in this world going around us. The Human Fly, issue 2 from IPI Comics. This is bringing back another public domain character into the modern times with the Human Fly, who is kind of an Evel Knievel kind of guy. He's known for his stunts that he does. He has a traveling stunt show, but at the same time, he's kind of a superhero that gets like kind of does the right thing everywhere he goes. And in this series, we are seeing that there is a group of people who are trying to bring some problems into the world. They're trying to attack people, and they think the best way to do it is to do it through the Human Fly show. And so they find out, the investigators find out that somebody is supposed to be like jumping into the Human Fly's team and leading this destruction, and the Human Fly is like, I'm here, like, let's go, like, I don't want to be a part of that, so you know, come on, tell me who these bad guys are. I'm here to help you find them, and let's take them down. And we get to see what that looks like and some manipulation of the situation happening very early on. We've got Creeping Below, issue 2 from Boom Studios. If you didn't read issue 1, you got to grab it because it's a crazy story. A girl who is kind of obsessed with her favorite, I guess, metal band. I think they're like dark metal. And she goes to see their show, and some bad stuff happens, and she doesn't make it out alive. And issue 2 opens up with her like in this like wooded area, and she suddenly finds herself like alive and kind of like, what happened? Where am I? What's going on? And we find out that it's been years since whatever happened to her actually happened, and she kind of starts piecing it together in this issue to figure out what did happen. And now she's like, I'm gonna not only piece it together, but I'm gonna get revenge on whoever it was that was involved in it. And so we see her kind of try to start doing that, but what I like about it is that it's not like she didn't get any like supernatural powers or anything. She's just kind of like a girl who doesn't like what happened to her, and so she's like trying to just expose that and maybe maybe stop something. And we're going to see, like, I have a feeling there's going to be some more supernatural elements coming in as we get into issue 3 when that turn is going to happen, and we're going to see just how far she's going to take it to get her revenge on these people. All right, we got some new books launching this week. This is Catabasis, issue 1 from Black Box Comics. This is going to be another like great adventure story from them that also is just going to put us in that battle of good versus evil. With this launching issue, we see there is our main character who is a woman who, when she was alive, she was sent on a mission to rescue a young girl, and she was told that she wasn't told it was a girl she was rescuing. She was told she was going to like collect a weapon, and when she got there, it was a young child, and the mission didn't work out, and she finds herself in purgatory, and she's now got this role that she's kind of fighting there for them, and they're like, hey, we're going to need you to go after these people. And she's like, if I solve this like mystery, if I take out these bad guys, like, can I have my life back? Can I move on one way or another? Like, I want out of this world. And they're like, we'll see, well, in the process, they're like, make her go through a trial, and the trial is to save another young girl. And the young girl is like, well, now that you saved me, like, that means I get to go with you, and I get to be, like, your partner, and I'm going to be, like, your little squire, essentially. And she's like, I'm not taking you. Like, I'm not going to risk another little girl's life. And they're, like, actually, like, if you want to get out of this world, you have to prove that you're either good or evil. And so you need to actually, if you want to prove that you're good and maybe get your life back in some capacity or move on, you're going to have to take this girl with you. And she's like, ugh. And so it's kind of a redemption story meets an action, like Avenging Angel kind of story, all rolled into one. So definitely check it out if you're looking for something like that. Kids these days, issue 1 from Keenspot. Keenspot, a lot of times people are like, is it kid? Is it teen? Is it like, what is it? Like, because the titles a lot of times and the character ages like kind of get confusing. This is definitely not for kids. You could probably give it to like teens, but it does have like foul language and stuff in it, but that's not, teens could probably be okay with it. But this is about a group of like college age kids who find themselves with superpowers, and they decide like they don't really care that they have them, like they're not good people, so they're gonna take on the job of fighting like the bad guys that show up, but they're not doing it because it's the right thing. They're doing it because like the government will pay them and they can put it on TikTok. Like literally they fight an alien, and they're like, what if we just like, what do we do? Do we take this alien out? Should we take them out? And they're like, yeah, but wait till we open up our TikToks before we post it, because we want to actually do that. And like, they've got no respect for anybody or anything, and the government is like, why are we stuck with these people? And meanwhile, aliens all across the galaxy are trying to come after the thing that is giving these kids their powers, and trying to figure out like how to come after them. And they're going to have to learn to like actually be responsible adults and work together if they actually want to survive, probably. But it always makes me think of like the beginning of the original American Power Rangers show, where they're like these like kids, like they talk about the teenagers and how like they're unruly essentially, and then like those kids on Power Rangers, like they don't do anything wrong. Like they're all like these like miscreant teenagers who get power, and like they're all like super proper and polite people. And I'm like, this is somebody who like kept watching Power Rangers as a kid and was like, what if they actually just were like bad teenagers who don't deserve the powers they got, and decided to make a book out of it. We'll see where it goes. Everybody loves a good band biography kind of comic, and 1010 Press does a lot of them in like these really short, easy, like digestible ones. And this one is for Linkin Park. And so for fans of Linkin Park, this is definitely just a must-have in your collection. It goes through kind of some of the big moments of how they became a band, and then it talks about like their different albums that they made, the recordings. A lot of it has to do with like, oh, we're at this recording of this album, like this is what they were going for with it. This is kind of like their thoughts on it. I love it because, like, I'm like, this has to be a work of fiction because they go to work on their album and one of them's like, oh man, that sounds really great. Dude, what if we did this? And they're like, yeah, we should totally do that. And then everybody's like, that's a great idea. And like, nobody ever argues about like, no, I really wanted this sound. And I was like, okay, you put all of these musicians in the room and they all were like, that is the perfect sound. First take. Let's go, guys. We're all happy with the same exact sound on this like third album that we all want to change the sound on. And I'm like, I guess I do not believe that like dialogue ever happened in that capacity. But it's just really cool to kind of see like just the moments of different things that they did. There's not really like, it's not a flowing story. It's kind of like moment snapshots and like just little commentary on those moments. But it's kind of cool to see, you know, like when they do have the moment of like their first large, like major concert, they're like, there's like 92,000 people in this room. Like, that's insane. Like, why are they here? Like, it's us. Like, you know, so it's just kind of fun. But I love that they do these for different bands. And I've met a lot of people since this book came out that are Linkin Park fans that I had no idea. So it's really cool to see. We've got Damned, issue 1, and this is from Fantagraphics, and it's so just classically Fantagraphic fun. This is about a woman who, in the first little part, I guess her name is Meg. She is a gentleman caller is like, hey, can I take you on a picnic? And she's like, no. And he's like, okay, I'll meet you at the lake. And she's like, no. And he's like, yeah, okay, so we'll meet at this time. It's going to be great. And he's so excited about this date. And she's like, I'm not going on this date with this guy. Meanwhile, she ends up having like this, essentially like this out-of-body experience, possible dream, possible like reality, where she is like this superhero and she's trying to stop all these people, and she's like, I have no idea what's going on. And she has like conversations with her friends where she's like, I think I'm having dreams that I'm a superhero, or maybe I am a superhero and like weird stuff is going on. She's like, I have no idea. Meanwhile, like the guy is also like a thief or something, and he's going through all these things, and it just keeps cutting back and forth between those like dual lives, and then like him being like, hey, I'm at your place, but you're not here. And she's like, yeah, I know. And he's like, well, oh, we were supposed to meet at the lake. Okay, like, I got it. I'll meet you out there. And like, just like completely like super spy kind of mentality, but then like completely obtuse when it comes to dating. It's an ongoing single issue from Fantagraphics, which we don't see a lot of. So I'm kind of excited to see another one coming our way. All right, I got the 3 picks of the week for you coming your way. First up is The Cursed Library Unbound. This is the end of the Cursed Library saga from Archie. And, you know, I don't think that Archie books get enough credit for how great that they are and that Francavilla cover in general. But this one just kind of brings so much of the cool stuff and together. Plus, also has this really beautiful letter from Jinx's mom going through it. So basically, if you didn't read Cursed Library, it, you know, had a little teaser at Free Comic Book Day, but it is about Jinx, who is one of the characters in the Archie world, whose dad is actually Satan. And she has her and her partner have come down to the underworld, and basically Satan is like, yo, I want you to take over. I want you to become the next leader of you know, the underworld. I want you to be the princess of evil that you're supposed to be. Like, do it. And she's like, I'm not going to do that. I just want to have a normal life. Why can't you leave me alone? Well, bad things start to happen, and she's kind of like wrapped up in all of this. Meanwhile, her partner ends up finding a book that is written by Jinx's mom that seems to have some information on how to help Jinx possibly get out of becoming the evil person that her father wants her to be. But the only person that she can find to help her through it all is Madam Satan, who has been trapped in the prison down here in hell, and has kind of lost all of her powers since many of the other like Archie horror books that have come out have happened. And so they team up together and try to figure out how to save Jinx. And again, I really just like the letter from Jinx's mom that goes over the whole thing at the same time. But I love the aesthetic of the book. I love when the Archie books get a little bit darker. I love that they still always manage to use like heart as the way to save the day in everything that they do. It's always so great. And just that like the people that are around you and that you care about can always be there to like help you pull you out of what it is that your worst moment really could be. And Jinx kind of finds that her worst moment comes and her biggest fears come to life, but as long as she has friends and loved ones, she can have that redeeming moment. And also, really, let's just be honest, part of it is really just that, see if I can find that. I really just want to make this costume of Jinx on the throne as like the possible ruler of the underworld. Let's just call it what it is. I'm just here for that aesthetic that Jinx chooses as the possible leader of the underworld. So good. Anyway, that's over now. You can grab it. It'll be fun. We've got Vicarious issue 3 from Boom. This continues to be just a great series, like just a solid story that's coming out from Ryan Parrott and the Boom world. And basically in this world you can choose what's called like proxies, and basically you can send somebody out to live an experience that you want to have, and you're inside their head, and you can kind of make the choices you would make if you were there, and they just have to do it, and you just pay these people to like have the experience. But the way it works is you can actually feel and experience the sensation. It's not one of those where it's like, oh, I just watched that happen and I'm not really a part of it. It's like you're really there, but like they're the ones that have to actually like have the thing. And so we're following a guy who gets involved in it in the worst way possible. He gets an implant so that he can become a proxy, and he's now wrapped up in too many things and trying to be like a completely different person because he likes the lifestyle of the rich and famous that has basically been offered to him, just because of how he looks and the experiences he's willing to take on. Well, he got, told by the guy that helped him get into the business, like, I'll help you get into the business, but never cross me and never take my customers. And now that they have the same agent, that line is getting blurrier and blurrier as the experience goes on. And he finds himself in a lot of danger from the person who he's supposed to trust most, from the person who led him into this world, and from now a mysterious person who's shown up and told him there is something going on that he needs to be careful of, and with a completely different name that we've never heard him called before. So there is layers upon layers of mistrust and shadiness and stuff going on. But when you have no control over your own life, and somebody can always tap into your brain to be what they want you to be, how do you know what's real and what isn't? Really great. And then lastly, we've got, oh, I know, I bent my cover, and it's so pretty. We got Dust to Dust, issue 1 from Image Comics and the Giant Generator, which is Rick Remender's imprint at Image. And it is just, I mean, if you want, like, heavy storytelling, you're going to go to the Giant Generator stories, because Rick Remender is definitely bringing it with that. And Dust to Dust is definitely going to be one of those. It is, billed as a serial killer story during the Great Depression, and it kind of opens up in just a great way because it sets that scene of the Depression with a family that's like, hey, we can't live here anymore, Sheriff, like, we're gonna leave, we're abandoning our farm, we're gonna roll out west, hopefully find some other places to live, there's supposed to be work out there, there's supposed to be things that are still surviving. We've got to go, please turn our keys into, this man, and they just keep talking about him. And the sheriff kind of seems to be like the guy that, cares about his people and wants to make sure that things are going well. I love that this, like, literally the town is called New Hope, and the sign says, welcome to New Hope, jobless men keep going. Like, there's nothing here for you. Just like you had to make signs like that, like during the Dust Bowl. And it does feel very like Steinbeckian, like in the setup here. And we get to see, like there's this rich person who's terrible, and seems to kind of have his finger on everybody, and kind of the only one who still has money and is kind of forcing everybody out in the choices that they make. And anyway, a woman shows up. She's a photographer, and she is there to take pictures of everything that's going on and kind of get a scoop and a story. And she comes because she hears about this farm sale, and she's hoping that something will happen that she can get pictures of. But she ends up, the sheriff is like, I don't want you to be unsafe, so why don't you come with me, and why don't you go on, I'll stick with you, you stick with me, kind of thing, so you're safe. And we kind of start to see the beginnings of something happening in this town, and more to come as the story unfolds. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic story as it unfolds, and I cannot wait to see where it goes. It looks really beautiful as you're reading it. I love the sepia filter to give that Dust Bowl like feel to it. I love, like I said, it has a very Grapes of Wrath-esque like kind of tone. And you're gonna put a serial killer and some murders like coming into that. Like, it's gonna be great. I can't wait to see where it goes. Giant Generator, man, they're really bringing some fire books out there. Rick Remender's a great editor, apparently, with, overseeing some good ideas. All right, we've got some more books in stock, and I apparently put them on the wrong pile. All right, let me grab these. There we go. All right, here are your books in stock this week. We've got Avengers issue 22. We've got Birds of Prey issue 17, and I love this Black Canary cover. We've got Absolute Superman issue 3, continuing to just rock everybody's world with these absolutes. Ultimate Black Panther issue 11. X-Force issue 7, X Factor, also came out this week, but this is the home of Mark Russell's fan club, so that's not true. We are not officially the home of Mark Russell's fan club. We're just obsessed with Mark Russell in this store. Miles Morales issue 28, Ghost Spider issue 9. We've got Spawn issue 360 and Poison Ivy issue 29, launching this week with those sweater weather variants that are always popular each year. We've got JSA issue 3. I can't believe that's already on issue 3. The Justice League, The Atom Project, issue 1. It's going to be a little miniseries that works in the Justice League world. Daredevil issue 17. We've got another new Deadpool Wolverine issue 1, and this is written by Benjamin Percy, so a lot of Wolverine fans are really excited because they thought Benjamin Percy was off Wolverine, but it turns out he can't quit him. Batman Full Moon issue 3. The other covers are glow in the dark, so you got to get those glow in the dark wolf covers. They're always great. Batgirl issue 3 is out as well. Batman issue 156. Werewolf by Night issue 6 as well. We are flying through that Werewolf by Night Red Band series. Like, we gotta jump into that. We are going to see over the next couple of weeks a bunch of what if Galactus transformed other people in the Marvel Universe into his herald, and this week launched it with the Hulk. What if Galactus transformed the Hulk into his herald, and you get to see how that would play out in there. We've got a second printing of The Walking Dead Deluxe issue 100. This is your big Negan, Glenn crazy issue. Shazam issue 19. We've got Two-Face issue 2. And a second printing of issue 2 of Aliens vs. Predator. And a second printing of Amazing Spider-Man 61, which was the launch of the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. We've got Creature Commandos issue 4. If you are watching the Creature Commandos show and you didn't know that there was a comic right now happening at local comic shops, go to your local comic shops today and get you some Creature Commandos. We've got a bunch of trades and graphic novels out this week. We've got Detective Comics Volume 4. This is Ron B's Detective Comics, issues 1076 through 1080. We've got Radiant Black Volume... What? Volume 6. Okay, I could have guessed that. Volume 6, and this is issues 20 through 30.5. So it does actually have your regular and your 0.5s in there for all, which is how the series, if you don't know, starting around issue 28, actually it might have been 25, but 28, I think, this whole time period, the Radiant Black was switched where there's 2 different people who might be Radiant Black, and they both get to tell their version of the story. Fan favorite, for sure, in 2024, I Heart Skull Crusher Volume 1 is out in trade paperback form. If you didn't get to read it in single issues, this is 1 through 5, and will help you catch up to where we are right now, and you definitely want to catch up to where we are right now, because it's so good. Sanction. This is the entire story from Mad Cave, all issues 1 through 5, about a detective in 1987 in Leningrad, who learns that sometimes you just need to leave some crimes unsolved and stop getting in the middle of things. Invincible issue 7, volume 7, this is issues 36 through 41. In the little mini size, kind of giving you a compact version of Invincible too, so you can see the difference in size right there. So if you need a backpack version of Invincible for you, this is going to be the way to do it. And these are the backpack versions, as I call them, are $14.99, but they're really cool, and they've got all those fun covers. Fungi. If you know Matt, you know he loved Fungi as it was coming out. Now we've got the whole series collected in trade paperback form for you to check out, and you definitely want to. I'm just gonna show you just some cool, look at some of the cool art really fast. I know Matt loved the Fungi art and was always raving about it in the store, so I want to make sure you guys check out why mushrooms in the Game of Thrones with mushrooms is just a great concept, and with cool art, it just makes it beautiful. Thundercat Shatara, this is her miniseries I mentioned earlier, all collected into a trade. It is the whole thing, and it is a great companion to the Thundercats world. Kind of gives us some info into what happened in this issue this week. So Nightwing, this is volume 6, and this is issues 106 and through 109, and then 111 through 113. So it takes those two issues that didn't necessarily connect out, but this is really cool. And oh, that's cute. There's a monumental 300 issue featuring the monumental 300th issue with a special contribution from one of Nightwing's very own creators, Marv Wolfman. I didn't know there was a Marv Wolfman thing in there. That's awesome. We've got the entirety of Ain't No Grave, Scotty Young and Jorge Corona, and John Francis Bellevue, the team behind Middle West and Me You Love in the Dark. Their most recent story about a woman who wants to fight death in a shootout to make sure that she can spend her time with her husband and a daughter, and that beautiful book is there for you. We've got Roar, the Carol Capet classic. This is the Roar Factory. It's far from humanity on its own island, has produced the perfect product, robots. And is this the book? Yes, this is the book that created the word robot. This is the book that gave us the word robot. So this is a reprinting of that for the first time. I think this was actually in one of the things. But yeah, this is the award-winning Czech graphic novelist. A seminal dystopian work gave us the word robot and makes readers question the notion of work and progress and humanity itself. So if you never got a chance to read it, it's updated in this beautiful hardcover, and you can see where the concept of robot come from.
It came from a graphic novel?
It did. In case you guys didn't know, lots of words that we have in our modern American language came from graphic novels and comic books and comic strips. So if you are ever interested on where words come from, and if graphic novels and comic books or graphic literature in general can actually be considered as literature, there you go. They are, as the word robot came from one. And then lastly, we've got the graphic novel Visitations. This is about Corey, who his parents are going through a divorce, and he starts his visitations with his dad. But his mom is kind of throwing accusations, making him kind of play the adult that he shouldn't have to be. And it's just a very sad but beautiful coming-of-age story with mental illness, religion, and divorce and parents and situations. And it is it's an imagination, liminal space. It is a surreal journey into liminal spaces between imagination and memory, faith, and truth. I'm very excited to read that book, but I hope you are too. Speaking of, there's going to be lots of great new comics out this week. The end of the year, and the end of the year and the beginning of the year are always two of the slowest weeks. That was actually 2 weeks of comics right together there. And so we're going to see comics start to come out a little bit more, and you're going to get to see some great series launching as the beginning of the year kicks off, which means there's going to be a lot of great things to read, and we're going to talk to you about them every Sunday night at 9-ish as we wind down your weekend with you. So we'll see you in the shop this week for New Comic Book Day, and until then, everybody, happy reading.